Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Patrick Walker with CBS Sports and CBS Sports HQ. And no, we're not going to talk today about compact discs and sheep, but we are going to talk about CeeDee Lamb, the newest wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, acquired in the 2020 NFL Draft. Now, was Lamb on the Cowboys board? No, absolutely not. I've had conversations with those close to the situation that tell me the Cowboys didn't have him on their board whatsoever. The Cowboys didn't have a mock draft scenario in which Lamb was still available when they went on the clock. So he was not on their map, not on their radar, or anywhere near. But they could not help but pull the trigger and go with the best player available when they had the chance. Now, that marks a new era for the Cowboys that coincides specifically with the hiring of Mike McCarthy. McCarthy is players over scheme as opposed to scheme over players. The latter obviously being something longtime head coach Jason Garrett adhered to mightily. The Cowboys locked up Amari Cooper on a 5-year, $100 million deal this offseason. They have 2 years additionally to control Michael Gallup, coming off of a breakout 1,000-yard season in 2019. So they knew that they needed to upgrade the slot position after leaving, or I should say losing out on Randall Cobb, who went to the Houston Texans for more money. They had Tavon Austin in mind, but it didn't sound like Tavon Austin really had a seat for the Cowboys in 2020. So yeah, they were aiming to try to solve that slot position in the draft, but they did not know that they'd have a chance to fill it with our first team all Big 12 talent, a consensus All-American, and not arguably one of, if not the best receiver coming out of an insanely and historically deep wide receiver class in 2020. He is one of the better route runners on the team. Instantly, he's going to be able to learn from an even better route runner in Amari Cooper. So now the Cowboys get to field 3 potential 1,000-yard receivers. Now, there's only one football, so you're going to have to pick and choose who gets the ball where. So in reality, you're probably not going to see CeeDee Lamb get 1,000 yards in his rookie season, but he is set up to be the potential future as well at the position. You look at Amari Cooper in that 5-year, $100 million contract I mentioned. Cowboys have an easy out after 2 years. So in 2 years, they'll start looking forward to see if Cooper is still going to be on the team, and if not, is Lamb going to be that guy to play number 1 to Michael Gallup's number 2, or vice versa? However you slice it, the Cowboys did a fantastic thing in selecting CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb was my number 1 wide receiver and number 6 overall prospect in this draft class. And the main rationale for why I was so high on Lamb as a prospect was his electric run after the catch ability. And for perspective on just how good he is with the football in his hands, according to Pro Football Focus, Lamb forced 26 missed tackles on 62 receptions in 2019 at Oklahoma. And last year, 49ers rookie Deebo Samuel forced 23 missed tackles on 57 receptions, which was the highest amount of forced missed tackles among any wide receiver in the NFL. At 6'2" and around 200 pounds, Lamb has good size, comparable to Marvin Jones, Tyler Boyd, or Cooper Kupp, and his 4.5 speed was really accentuated well during his collegiate career. In 2019, he averaged 21.4 yards per reception and had 12 catches on throws made 20 or more yards down the field. Compare that to Jerry Jeudy. He only averaged 15 yards per catch during his last season at Alabama and had 9 receptions on throws made 20 or more yards downfield. Lamb really has freaky body control to make catches near the sideline and phenomenal ball tracking skills on those deep passes down the field. So for not being ridiculously fast, he has the skills to be a legitimate deep threat in the NFL right away. Lamb knows how to use his athleticism and handwork to beat press at the line to get a clean release into his route. It's just that he didn't see press coverage or high-quality cornerback play very often in the Big 12 over the past 3 seasons. So those are my 2 biggest concerns as he makes the jump to the NFL. But having said all that, Lamb has the movement ability, the large catch radius, just enough speed and loads of yards after the catch talent to be a star early in his career in Dallas, even on a team with Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and a run game featuring Ezekiel Elliott.
Okay, so the biggest way that CeeDee Lamb is going to help the Dallas Cowboys offense is with his versatility. Last year, when the Cowboys went into 3 wide receiver sets, they almost always lined up with Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup on the outside and Randall Cobb in the slot. The year before, it was Cooper and Gallup on the outside and Cole Beasley in the slot. The issue there is that Cooper has been significantly more effective throughout his career when lined up in the slot than when lined up on the perimeter. According to Pro Football Focus, Cooper has averaged 2.37 yards per route run from the slot, compared to only 1.8 yards per route run on the outside. But because of the limitations of Cobb and Beasley as players, Cooper has hardly ever lined up in the slot since he's come to Dallas. He's been there on only 15% of his routes. That's where CeeDee Lamb comes in. Like Cooper, he's extremely effective when lined up in the slot. He led the country in yards per route run from the slot in 2019. And according to PFF, he had 52 catches for 1,085 yards and 12 scores when lined up in the slot in his 3 years at Oklahoma. But unlike Cobb and Beasley, he also has the ability to dominate from the outside as well. While Cobb aligned in the slot 92% of the time with Dallas and Beasley was there 88% of the time, Lamb was actually only in the slot for 16% of his snaps at Oklahoma, and he was still one of the most productive slot receivers in the nation. Now the Cowboys can mix and match Cooper and Lamb inside and out in order to create the matchups they want for Dak Prescott. Another positive is that because Lamb didn't see a lot of press coverage at Oklahoma, Cooper has struggled with it on occasion in the pros, the Cowboys can now guarantee one of those players a free release on just about every snap, helping neutralize one of the few relative weaknesses that each player has. Lamb's versatility isn't just limited to his alignment either. He was one of the best deep receivers in America, catching 12 passes for 527 yards on throws that came at least 20 yards downfield. Those 527 yards were the 12th most in all of college football. Throughout his career, Dak Prescott has been a phenomenal deep passer, posting a passer rating of 113.9 on throws at least 20 yards downfield. Now, every time he takes the field and has Lamb out there instead of Cobb or Beasley, he'll have 3 receivers that can challenge defenses down the field instead of just 2. Mike McCarthy's offenses in Green Bay, despite running the West Coast offense, still managed to throw the ball downfield more often than most other teams in the league, which means that Prescott should continue to challenge defenses down the field with Cooper, Gallup, and Lamb. That one extra guy with the ability to take the top off the defense will force opponents to play more 2 high safety looks as opposed to single high safety looks, which will open up wider throwing lanes on underneath routes for guys like Zeke Elliott, Blake Jarwin, Tony Pollard, even Lamb or Cooper themselves, and it'll create more space for whenever the Cowboys want to run the ball. And when opponents decide to crowd them near the line of scrimmage, Lamb should also help the Cowboys immensely with his ability to create yards after the catch, which is an area where they struggled as a team last season. The Cowboys got only 4.9 yards after catch per reception last year, one of the worst marks in the league. Lamb averaged 11 yards after catch per reception, the 5th best mark in the entire country. He also broke 26 tackles, 2nd most in all of college football among wide receivers. Compare that to Randall Cobb, who broke all of 5 tackles on his 55 catches last year. When given a chance, Lamb was also a terrific punt returner in college, which receivers like Antonio Brown, Tyler Lockett, and Odell Beckham have shown in the past is a good proxy for being able to create yards after the catch. Another way Lamb should help the Cowboys is just by letting them spread the field more often. Last season, Dallas lined up with at least 3 wide receivers on the field 68% of the time. And while Dak Prescott's numbers look almost identical when he has 3 receivers out there than otherwise, Ezekiel Elliott has been much more effective running the ball at a 3+ receiver sets than he has been when there are 2 or fewer receivers on the field. His yards per carry average jumps from 4.3 to 5 yards per carry when you get that extra receiver out there. And with Lamb on board, the Cowboys should have that much more often than they have in the past. Lastly, Lamb should help the Cowboys just by having incredibly dependable hands. Last season, the Cowboys dropped 7.2% of Dak Prescott's passes, the single highest rate of drops in the entire league. Randall Cobb had 9 drops, Cooper had 7, Gallup had 12, Zeke had 4, even Jason Witten had 6. Lamb had 3 drops on his 88 targets at Oklahoma last year, giving him a drop rate that was less than half of the one the Cowboys posted last season. Take away a few of those drops, and all of a sudden Dak was a 5,000-yard passer last year. With a little more volume, a little more consistency from his pass catchers, a little more explosiveness, a little more versatility, and a little more after-the-catch creativity, he should be in line for his best season yet in 2020.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.